far you have come on your own, but never alone. Through the rain and through the shine, here's your moment, it's your time. You stood tall and now you see, standing in your destiny. 100 women growing strong. 100 women where you belong. You stood tall and now you see, you have reached your destiny. Woman.
As people of African descent, we offer this land recognition in solidarity with the indigenous peoples of Turtle Island in the efforts and deliberate intentions toward decolonization. As people of African descent, we acknowledge the land of Turtle Island that sustains us, express deep gratitude to its indigenous peoples, and pledge to honor our dignity and divinity that ultimately connects us all. By Kay Johnson. Welcome to 100 ABC Fireside Chats. 100 Accomplished Black Canadian Women is a bold project initiated by co-authors and co-founders, the Honorable Dr. Jean Augustine, Dr. Denise O'Neill Green, and Donna Jones Simmons. Our mission is to celebrate and archive the professional accomplishments of trailblazing Black women from all across Canada. The goal is to create an ever-expanding database available for current and future generations via print media, public and private libraries, as well as our website, which is www.100abcwomen.ca. In addition to our fireside chats on topics that matter to our communities, such as education, healthcare, entertainment, creative arts, trade union, and so much more, we offer biennial book launching galas and biannual symposiums. The co-authors and co-founders would like to take this opportunity to thank each of you for attending today's fireside chat. We know that you will find these sessions educational and inspirational. So sit back, relax, and hear from our brilliant and talented honorees.
Welcome, everyone. Today, we are just pleased and honored to have three phenomenal women, all 100 ABC honorees. First, I also want to acknowledge and tell our sponsors how appreciative we are of their sponsorship. One of our sponsors is TD Bank, as well as BIPOC Executive Search. So thank you so much. Without your support, financial support, we will not be able to support these programs. We appreciate that. 100 Accomplished Black Canadian Women is pleased to present our moderator today, Ms. Tanika Riley. Tanika has always been passionate about community empowerment and protecting and honoring Mother Earth. At the age of 24, Tanika founded the not-for-profit Pour Amour which means for love. Pour Amour is a multidisciplinary arts and cultural organization that provides arts-based experiential learning in wellness, equity, and leadership. Tanika is a self-leadership, equity, and wellness expert that hosts, facilitates, and speaks at events. We also have two panelists. First, we have Caress Clark Glasgow. Her accomplishments include becoming a young mother of two awesome children. She is also a licensed financial planner, mutual funds license, definitely and most importantly, maintaining financial stability on a limited budget is her goal. Caress has also had a successful nail salon since 1993. She is committed to HIV prevention, education, advocacy, and research. She has continually demonstrated care and support for women and youth in all our communities. Next, we have Carol Commission. She is a former Chief Financial Officer, CFO, with several years of successes in financial management in the not-for-profit and technological industry. She spent 30 years at IBM, 10 years as CFO at IBM Trinidad and Tobago, and 20 years at IBM Canada Limited. She obtained her executive MBA from Western University and holds CPA and CGA designation. 100 Accomplished Black Canadian Women really is a proud organization. It's a bold organization, actually, that has really embraced these women with all these accomplishments. So without further ado, Tanika, take over.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to everyone who's out there in the virtual world. We can't see you, but we can feel you. Definitely, we can feel you. And we saw that so many people registered today because this is a great topic. We're talking about money. We're talking about how do we fund those ideas and those visions to make our communities better for our community and for the larger community. So I am so excited to be here to help guide this discussion with our two phenomenal panelists, Carol and Caress. And here's what we need from you. We have people behind the scenes that are going to be taking your questions and making sure that I see them. So we want to know about what brought you here today. What do you really want to know? What questions do you have for us so that we can provide value? Because we appreciate you sharing your Sunday afternoon with us, taking this time, which is our most valuable commodity, is our time. So please put your questions out there and they will make sure that I get them and that I'll be asking our wonderful panelists, including myself, and we want to make sure we answer them for you. But let's get started because we're going to keep this short, sweet, and impactful because that's how we want to do on this beautiful Sunday. So I wanted to get us started off by saying, first of all, Carol, and we are just thrilled to have us all here to talk about fundraising in a nonprofit environment, because we know that there's lots of us out there in community, whether it's a small organization that's just you and your best friend, to larger organizations that might have full-time or part-time staff. We want to make sure that we bring that value to you today to answer questions, no matter where you are on that spectrum of wanting to give back to our community. There's a South African proverb that says, it's called Ubuntu, I am because we are. So we want to make sure we provide that value because we're in this together. When one of us succeeds and thrives in our community, we all succeed and thrive. So we want to make sure we give you that information today. So let's get started. I want to put this out to both of us on the panel. We want to talk about what do you think is a key element when you're strategizing in a not-for-profit. You know, you have this idea and you're like, I want to either A, fundraise, or B, get some funding. And we're going to talk about both today, just so our audience knows. We're going to be talking about fundraising, those things that you can do within your own organization whether it's events and et cetera, and we'll get into that. And then there's the opposite end, which is getting funding, getting those grants, getting those, and where do you look for them? And what do you need to do before you even apply? So based on that, Carol, why don't you take it away? We're so excited to have your executive experience, because even though you've worked in executive areas, we know that we can take that knowledge that those large corporations have and bring it down and distill it down so that smaller organizations can make use of that to access funding. So what do you think is a key element when we're looking at strategizing to get funding for our organizations?
Thank you, Tanika, and thank you, Donna, for the introduction. Today, funding is a huge word, particularly in the current environment. Inflation is creeping up. Their organizations are making less. The demand for funding is increasing. So the environment is getting tougher. So with this kind of environment, and who knows what the future holds, we need to strategize. And whether you're a $10,000 organization or a $10 million organization, it's key that you have a vision and a mission as to what you're about. What are you trying to do? Who is your client? What impact are you trying to make on the community? These are some key questions that we all have to ask ourselves, because as you decide how you're going to make a difference in the community, you have to start aligning yourself to people who think like you. So if you're looking for funding for mental health, let's say, is TD doing mental health, or should you go somewhere else? So try and understand not only your mission and vision, but what is the mission and vision of the people you may be approaching for help?
I love that, Carol, because when we were talking before, you said that we know that TD really is into more supporting community festivals. You'll see that when you're out there, but we know an organization like Bell, Let's Talk, they have a very direct a vision to support mental health in our community.
Correct.
So I love that you really brought that point out, that we don't just want to go to anyone we think has money.
Correct.
Yes. Carez, you were talking earlier about when we were also about having a goal. So when we talk about strategies, can you explain a little bit more about when you've looked at your various work in fundraising, and what is goals, why are goals important, and what does that mean for you?
For me, thank you. I want to thank you all. Thank you, ladies, for taking time out of your Sunday. I want to thank the organization for putting this event together for us to share. Your question about why is goals important? As a fundraiser, goals must be important and profound. One reason is, if it's not important, then what's the point of doing it, right? Of raising funds or trying to get others to partner with you. So you first must have a goal. And in order to establish our goal, for me personally, I think it's important to figure out what it is we want to do. Are we going to be changing lives? Are we going to be making positive impact on the individuals in the community, both the donors and the recipients of the funds? So I personally think it's important to have a goal, and your goal must include providing positive change and social impact. That's how I think those are the two key things for a goal, or my goal when I talk to somebody about a fundraising or a donation opportunity.
I would like to comment on that also. I believe if you don't have a goal, how would you know when you get there?
Yes.
So you got to put the mark, you got to shoot for the sky. And so you may not reach the sky, but at least you'll be above the ground.
Yeah.
Goal as in.
Thank you, Carol.
Yes. And so we have a goal as in, like, who do you want to impact and in what ways?
Mm-hmm.
And how?
Mm-hmm.
How?
We have some questions from our audience. And so audience, we definitely are seeing them. Sometimes I'm going to wait to the right point to ask, because we kind of have an idea of what we thought was important to share. So don't worry if you don't see me ask right away. I want to make sure it flows with our conversation so that we're not all over the place. But we do have a question from Shakoi around, I guess she's strategizing right now. She says, can you have a nonprofit and for profit at the same time? Would you recommend this? And I know there's various strategies around this. So I might be able to speak to some of that. And I would love to hear from Carol and Perez around your thoughts around nonprofit and profit and how that works. I know for myself, my nonprofit is kind of what we call like a social enterprise. So we are a registered nonprofit, but we have funding that's for profit. We're able to generate money through having services that we offer to schools that are paid for services. So that is one way that we're able to have an income stream that's not reliant on grants, is that we have services that are needed. And so that we get paid and then we can pay our team and our staff. So I believe, yes, you can have both. I think, again, it goes back to Carol, what's your goal and what's your intention behind your organizations? It's not necessarily, I would not recommend it or not recommend it. It's really about what is your intention behind your organization. And Carol, Perez, would you like to speak to that as well?
Okay, I'll jump in. So go ahead, Perez. Go ahead, Perez.
No, I was just going to support that. And it's important the person asking the question understand that is referred to in the fundraising capacity as revenue or earned income. So that will be a business that is for profit and you're able to do community and you're able to address some of your revenue as nonprofit. So it's called earned income and fees for service. So the answer to that, to support you, Tanika, is yes. And Carol, you take this because you know what that is.
Okay, so definitely I support both of you. Yes, the answer is yes. You have to draw a line. For-profit organization, you pay taxes. Let's be clear. You earn the income, you do whatever you want with your dollars. The cost of doing business is deducted. Income earned, you pay taxes on it. In that business, you can support your not-for-profit organization. That's a deduction. No problems with that. But understand clearly, there are two different businesses. One is, as I said, for-profit, you have to pay the tax man. The not-for-profit organization, no taxes. Supposedly you have a charitable number, so you don't pay taxes. There's certain deductions and benefits that are derived that you will enjoy as a not-for-profit. Key is transparency. You cannot have both businesses and, okay, I have this cost here using the same building. How am I going to allocate that cost to the not-for-profit and the profit? Maybe the profit organization or the business, you want to call it that, is 60% and the not-for-profit 40%. Allocation methodology is important because, again, you're tampering with the taxman dollars. So if you only allocate, let's say 1/10 of the building when it should be 60%, you're playing with your profit, plus or minus. So you have to be very clear, keep the focus, either you're in business or you're in charity. And business can support charity. Me to we all read about them. That's what they had until they ran into trouble.
Yes.
So that helps.
And I think that, yes, and that's what I hear is have a good tax person, because those are all the legalities that sometimes when you have a vision and a mission, your head's not there, and it doesn't have to be there. That's when we're going to talk later on about getting that in-kind support where you can have someone that understands that. But definitely nonprofits, charities, you don't have to pay taxes. Nonprofits, we're not there yet. I know we pay HST, but we have a stream that is business, but we have a service stream that is business, that is how we stay afloat, but we also do the nonprofit pieces as well. And then just so for that question, and we're going to move on because we do have another question around strategy before we move on to the next phase. I also have my own business as a speaker, a host, and facilitator that is not tied to my nonprofit. I do separate that out. So that's where, you have to really be clear, again, as we talked about. We have another great question around strategy. Is someone says, Norma says, I want to help minority families keep their children youth out of the criminal justice system. What do I say is my mission and goal? Would you help me to maybe get that idea started? So you know what, Norma, we could be here all day with that one. So, but definitely, because I know, right, Carol and Perez, that sometimes people do retreats where they spend the whole weekend really, distilling it down. But maybe we can give her some reflection questions to kind of ask herself to help with that. What do we want to offer our sister Norma on that?
Well, I think what I heard is, I want to keep my children out of the criminal system.
She wants to help families keep their children out of
the criminal system.
The policing. So that's, I guess, one of the goals.
So,
what is her mission and goal?
So she's trying to articulate what? Her vision or mission?
Yeah, she's wondering what a mission or her goals could be.
But I think you've just said what her mission is. You just said it, right? You want to keep her kids away from the criminal system, right? That's her mission. That's the end result. And her vision is no kids in the criminal system, no Black kids, if that's what we're talking about, in the criminal system. That's my vision. Now that's the dream, right? That's the sky.
Yes.
Don't know what you think about that.
Yes, Perez, do you want to add into that at all? You're on mute if you take yourself off.
Yeah, I took it off, yeah. Well, as you can see, my brain is probably on fire. I work in that system. They're already in the system. When they're there, we find a lot of things. The youth, it depends too on the age. So what I'm gonna suggest to Norma is you look for the opportunities for programs for them at an earlier age. I believe the best way to do that is to have that open communication with your children, regardless of what they do. They should be able to speak to you. That is one way of mitigating external impact to them. They will not, 90% of the time it will work. They will be more reluctant to expose their shortcomings or their weaknesses to strangers. It's better for them to bring it to you so you can empower them. When it comes to them, keeping them out of the criminal justice system, it can be a very complicated issue because sometimes they really haven't done anything to get there other than being Black. And secondly, we need to teach our children to use their voice with respect and speak up and do not support anything that doesn't sit positively with them. So what that means is giving them the power to make a decision and take a choice regardless of the circumstances, and know that there's consequences to every action. Because if we don't take responsibility first, then we'll have to take it last.
So what I'm hearing for you, because I also want us to keep on track too with, I know we want to get to we have so much good stuff we want to share about getting that money to help these ideas. But you know what, I thank you so much, Perez, for that. And what I would say is what Mother Teresa said, focus on what you want to see. So we don't want us to talk about, we know that they're in the system. What would prevent them from getting there in the first place?
That's right.
So we want to be like a proactive approach. That's what I do. So we're looking at, there's some sort of empowerment that needs to happen, and that can happen in a variety of ways, Norma. So figure out, how do you want to empower them to know who they are, to know their worth, to help keep families together? Is it from a family approach? Is it just with the young people? So, but I would really focus on what do we need to see happen that prevents our young people from even getting into the criminal justice system, and start there.
I'd like to add one more thing that I think we need to use more of, and it's free. Mentorship. We need our Black kids to have more mentors, more than one if possible, because we have traveled that journey. We've been on the road, so we need to fill their toolkit with ideas. Influence them. I talk to my granddaughter, she may not listen to me, but if you talk to her, she would listen to you. So I think mentorship is another big thing we should use to help our younger people along the way.
I love that. I love that. That could be part of it as you strategize, Norma. We're going to keep it moving because we have some really great questions around this. We have another one. Someone said, not all nonprofits are registered charities. I understand that's how mine is as well. This is anonymous. I'm a nonprofit. We're not a charity. Some companies will not fund organizations that are not registered charity. How does a nonprofit, does one get around this? I can just take a little bit of that because I've been there. And then we're going to keep it moving on as well. So one of the things is we look for grants. Well, when we talk about fundraising, you just if you want to fundraise, you don't need to be a charity or a nonprofit. If you're going to put an event on, or if you're going to, sell shirts or cookies or whatever you're doing, you could do that regardless of your status. There is many grants out there that will give you money even if you're just a nonprofit. You don't have to be a charity. Where the challenge comes is when you want to write, when people want receipts for giving you money. So what you can do, and we're going to talk about this a little later as part of strategy, is you can partner with a charity that you work it out, and this is legal. I'm not saying, that's why we can say this right now, where they can provide tax receipts. You have to figure out how you work that out. I don't know if anyone on the panel has experience with knowing about that, but so that you can issue tax receipts for people. And there's a way that if you don't have tax, you can do that. But or like I said, you can just still apply for grants. You don't have to be a charity to get grants. You just have to make sure you have good governance, which means, and maybe we can get into that as a segue. If anyone else wants to answer that though, that question around getting around being a charity versus a nonprofit.
So I think you said it correctly. I just bought some tickets today. Belong to a Rotary Club. They don't have the charitable number, but another one does. So they've gotten together. The tickets are being sold, and part of it you get a charitable receipt. So that charitable receipt will come from the partner. So I've seen that, and that's how it's done, as far as I know.
And I think this is a great segue to go to our next point around fundraising and funding. So we talked about having a strategy, having your goals, getting your vision and mission clear. And I think the next part is really about execution. So like, how do you execute this? Now you want to show whether you're fundraising or looking for funding that you can execute this. And this ties into two important things, being accountable and, and building those partnerships. Okay. So if you're a nonprofit, but you can't, you're small and you don't have, say, a big accounting department to give tax receipts and to do all that other stuff, then why don't you reach out to a larger organization? Like I know we have, Carol does some work with Tropicana, which is a large organization that does a lot of work in the community for Black families, not exclusively, but I know that's part of their vision. They can be a trustee for your organization to help you with maybe providing tax receipts and helping you get big money, because they can help, their accounting department can take the money and be accountable to it, and you could just do the work. So that's something. Do anyone else have any other things they like to share around executing as part of a nonprofit organization? How do you execute, and what's important to think about in order to get that funding or to do that fundraising properly?
Okay, I'll take it. So key for growing your funding and doing fundraising is transparency and accountability. So you need to ensure you have skills in your organization. If it's not an organization, it's a one-man shop, then you partner. You also have to make sure you have the infrastructure to deliver whatever programs you're planning to deliver. So if you're planning to distribute food, for example, where will the food be put when you get it? Is it going directly to the community? Do you have the infrastructure? Should you partner with Tropicana to help you do that? Do you need volunteers to come and help you so you could distribute the food? So once you have the vision and the mission, the next thing is, how are you going to execute? And execution comes in many forms. As I said, transparency and availability, accountability, infrastructure, all these things you have to consider if you want to be successful. And don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to do research. I'll give an example and then I'll shut up. For example, I belong to this organization where we support female prisoners in Trinidad, actually. And we send cash to buy the feminine products. The prisoners did not have enough feminine products. We did it for 6 months. Then I thought, if I could find an organization and manufacture some of this stuff, deodorants, those kind of thing, then I'll get more. What did I do? I just went online and put feminine products manufacturers. And I got a whole host. So I go through those, most of them in the US, and I start doing my research on my own. Where can I get these feminine products? Do they function in Trinidad? So that's just one idea that you could do. No, there's nothing, just use your phone, and all of a sudden you contact people and you start having a conversation, and don't be afraid to do research.
I love that, Carol. Thank you. I think that's really so important that people really do that research. And really, I love that we talked about accountability and transparency. And I also wanted to, when we talked about even looking at executing, and I don't know, Perez, if you wanted to add to that too, about how we can better be accountable and transparent and be clear on and having a good structure to be able to do the work that we want to do.
My view on that again is just building the relationships with the right people, being able to be transparent and not afraid to share your ideas. And I mean, really not afraid, because you can get as close to the delivery and still have interruption if the parties involved are not all on board. So for execution, and I've seen this where one person is doing all the work, and then at the just about delivery, we have a lot of partners wants to participate. You have to have consistency in the commitment. So to make it clear, you must build strong, healthy relationships with clear communication. Outside of the compelling story, the good brand, the great mission, we must all be on the same page. And the relationships are very important, because that innate commitment has to be consistent from beginning to end. Whether we raise the funds or not, we need that.
And I think you bring up a good point. We talked about the one man or maybe a small team, and we want to execute because that helps us to be able to get that funding or get it again. And I want us to not think about it always about, well, I don't have enough money to do that. We talked about the idea of in kind. And I don't know, for those of us, we're going to assume that we have a variety of experience in our audience. So in kind support means it could be anything from volunteers to free space. It's things that have a monetary value, but you don't necessarily have to pay that. So Carol, you have an example. You've volunteered your time in many organizations. I remember we were talking, you said they couldn't really afford you if they had to pay you, because you have such an enormous experience, executive experience, knowledgeable experience. But now that you can give that in a volunteer capacity, which has a huge dollar amount, but the organization doesn't have to foot that bill.
So a couple of things, just to comment on the previous speaker in terms of building teams. When you're doing charitable work, you tend to think about, okay, I have to do this. This is the goal. This is where I'm going. And you kind of forget the team that you're working with. So I think key is working on building that strong team so that everybody is shooting for the same goal. And really, the big word for me, committed and passionate about the goal. So if you could do that, then because understand, none of us are paid. We're doing it because we love to do it. So that's one thing. The other thing is tap into our volunteer database, create a volunteer database. These are your loyal fans who have all kinds of skills, no money, just willing to give up their time. Particularly old ones like me. We have retired. We want something to do. We will go out there and just do it. So
you are not old. You are a wise elder. Okay, we don't use that word.
No, I'm using it. You can't use it. I'm using
Okay, all right. I remember that.
So no, seriously, there are a ton of us out there who want to just live and enjoy life and want to really help. And we don't tap into that resource. And you don't have to pay anything. Just think, that's our contribution.
And this is actually a great, thank you, Carol. And I want to say that because that's something that I started to do late in the game. People would always be like, when they see us out there, like, I love your energy. I love how you guys facilitated, and I get involved. And I didn't follow up enough with that in-kind resources that will help you. And someone asked a good question that relates to this. Janice, see, I didn't forget about you, Janice. It was at the top, but I knew we'd get to it. She's looking to find a reliable Black fundraiser who focuses on nonprofit spectrum, the nonprofit area. And whether you're paying that person or that person's willing to come on as a volunteer, we don't know. But does anyone have experience? I guess she's wanting to find a Black fundraiser in particular. But girl, if you find someone from another culture that wants to help you fundraise, don't limit it, as long as they're passionate about your vision. But does anyone have any insight into that question around getting a reliable Black fundraiser or reliable fundraisers who focus on nonprofits? And audience, keep sending us your questions. We see we're getting back to them and we're making sure that we answer them.
Yeah, well, that's a tough one. I think there's so many organizations looking for that. The problem is fundraising, proposal writers, those kind of people is in great demand in the for-profit environment. And we are competing with those guys. So for me, if I was looking for someone like that, I think I'd be creative. I will probably approach online, just do a research on all the Black organizations that exist. There's so many of them now trying to help. And see who will express interest, because I don't know that you could readily just get someone like that. There's so much demand.
They are. Well, we do know about an organization called Black Initiatives and if you want to just Google that, it seems like they can help support. And it goes back again to the networking and collaborating that we kind of talked about earlier. And we're going to be wrapping up soon, but our last thing that we're going to be focusing on is the good stuff, is we want to know, where do we find this money? So we're going to be getting to that as our last question for those of you that are watching. You don't want to leave now, because that's the good stuff. We saved it for the end so that you would stay. But as we get to that, I really want to quickly, briefly, everyone can touch on it, including myself, about networking and collaborating. And so here's me. I live in Durham region. I am looking for someone to pay to do some grants for us, because I'm tired of doing it. It's not a good use of my time as the executive director, who also facilitates and helps put on our programs. I know another organization in Durham, and I've said, hey, can I talk about us sharing, using your, can we share the services that your grant writer has? And I'll add on, so that now we can provide maybe more financial support to that person, to your point, Carol, to compete with good salaries that they might be making in the profit world. So again, I think it's really important that, it takes a village. We have that in our culture. It takes a village to raise a child, to raise an organization. You can share those grant writers and those fundraisers maybe within an organization because they're in demand. That's one solution that I've been looking at, because it's hard to find people. Their schedules are already booked and busy. Does maybe anyone want to take the next 30 seconds each to, if you want to answer, can answer that, and then we're going to move on to where we can find that money.
Well, for a small organization, new startups, I really think it's important, as those organization leaders, remember to tap into diverse sources. Do not just focus on grants. Do not just focus on events. I work for the United Way, and 70% of the money we gave out every month, and I was a finance coordinator, so I am telling you the truth, came from donations from payroll. Partner, go visit companies as a small business, go in and tell them, this is my mission, this is my story, this is what I want to do. can I pitch it to your team? And you get, back then, you get a lunch date, you share with whoever wants to come to this lunch and learn. They give the money to United Way, they get a tax receipt, and it's $2 every Friday. You wear a jeans and you drop $2, or you take $10 or $5 off your paycheck, and it comes to organization. So the donors decide where the money goes. So that's the first thing. That is donations. That's like $2 a week, $10 a week. That's one. The second one is grant. There's community grant, and then it's private grants, federal grants, and provincial grants. They can look up the grants.
Yes, we're going to get into that. I want us to kind of hit on that. We're going to get into where we can find the money. And we did talk about that there's local, provincial, federal, and then there's foundational. So that's coming up. I'll get my speakers to kind of think about that. We have a question that we're going to answer from Carol. She said, I support organizations with their mission and fundraising efforts. Is having an income stream considered fundraising? Is having an income stream considered fundraising?
It depends. It
I would
depends on the organization.
I mean, I feel like this, and please correct me if I'm wrong, an income stream is anything that's bringing in income, right? So it can be fundraising as part of an income stream. And they want to see that you're doing stuff outside of asking for money, that there is, and that's why we have a for-profit part of our organization where schools pay us to come in. And then for those schools that can't afford it, we get funding so that we're not leaving any children behind. But, whether it's selling t-shirts, doing events, we do our own fundraising that brings in income. Anyone would like to take that as fun? I don't know if that's clear. That is.
Carol did address that. You just have to decide what the income is in relation to. Is it a business income? Is it a nonprofit income?
Mhm.
It is fundraising, but the real key is determining what it's used for.
Yeah, so dollars are coming in. Let's say you're just selling shirts or t-shirts, $100, and you decide to take that $100 and donate it to an organization. So $100 came in, $100 went out as donations. You made no profit. You didn't pay the tax man. Simple as that.
Yes.
So the other point I want to comment on is the small donations. Like at IBM, when I was there, I can tell them, I don't want these dollars going to United Way. I want it going to this charity A, B, C, D, E. So that's another thing. When you go to the larger organizations and you sell your story to the individuals, they can put their money directly to you, not United Way. So that's a key point. That's a key point in the banks and all those large the insurance companies, those large organizations. You tell them where I told them I wanted to go to Tropicana or wanted to go to this other organization. So the employee can specify, and so United Way does not get it. You get it directly.
And I think we need to get into that because we want to keep our conversation wrapping up soon. Thank you to our audience. Please keep sending your questions before we log out of this amazing event, but let's get into it. Where are and we want to talk about that creative aspect. So why don't we start with locally? Where are local sources that we can tap into as nonprofits to get some funding or do some fundraising? I can start, for example, I live in Durham region. I live specifically in Whitby, Ajax, and both municipalities have funding streams. And those are really great for smaller organizations. So there's the Mayor's Fund, there's community arts funds, there's all types of smaller funding at your local municipal level. And I know Carol will back me up, just Google it. This beautiful computer we have that we're on, just put funding for, and sometimes you don't even have to be a nonprofit. You could just be a group of committed parents that want to do something for you. So you just type in, funding for groups in Ajax, in Scarborough, in Thornhill.
Yeah.
That's one thing I'll offer for local. Carol Perez, anything local you want to share from your experience?
Bike-a-thon, walk-a-thons, those kind of simple things, cake sales, just give me some money Those are small things.
Right, doing those events. And one of the things I want to say is also, we all remember that ice bucket challenge where people were online and they're making themselves cold. That was a great way, locally, to do something simple to bring awareness to your cause. So that was for ALS. Probably no one knew what ALS was before that bucket challenge. And since that, and it went viral, everyone, I looked it up, that the donations, personal donations going to the ALS foundations that went up because of that, online virtual strategy. So, get creative, start, again, for that person that was really wanting to keep kids out of the prison system, maybe you want to do something that, brings awareness to that. And then people know that they can donate to you because you're doing that. Let's keep with the examples. So we got local. What about provincial? What are some provincial funding bodies that are out there that people maybe not aware of?
So again, I will come back to certainly looking at government sites. So you go on again, canada.ca, and whether it's provincial or federal, you can go onto those sites and they will tell you what they're looking for, what monies they have to give away, on what programs, what kind of programs they have that could interest you, that they'll be funding for, tons of it. So we talked about grants, we talked about I don't know, really in that case you have to be able to write grants. You have, because you're competing, so you have to be good at that.
I mean, in examples, I know if you're using the arts to work with young people and parents, there's the Ontario Arts Council. Yes. There's the city of, there's Artreach Toronto. That's more Toronto. I guess that's kind of provincial or local.
Mm-hmm.
United Ways. There's the Chilliam Foundation. Perez, do you have any real life examples around where to look for money from a local provincial point of view?
Well, that was my main thing, was to search for. I really believe in approaching the larger companies, and now we're opening up back, check and see what's their mandate, what sits very high on their HR support for their staff. That's where the network and building awareness and relationship comes in. Because, for example, if I was to meet you, Tanika, and this is a cause you're interested in working with, and I work for a company that has money that supports the cause, that's a perfect network. Then we might invite you to pitch to our team, pitch to HR, or even send a letter of engagement, showing them what you want to do and send the ask. A lot of the times we are reluctant to do the groundwork. However, we want to benefit from the big publicity, but there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scene, and it starts with that. You do documenting, writing down, as I said, figure out what is important to you. And one organization can have many causes. United Ways is a big example.
Yeah, and even other charitable organizations give away to charitable organizations. So so there are other organizations, foundations, not-for-profit organizations, they raise funds, they have a gala, excess funds, they say, okay, we want to give this to the hospital, or we want to give this to whoever. So there are funds from charitable organizations themselves, depending on what they're doing, what their mission is.
I love that you brought that up. A lot of people didn't know about foundations, that there's tons of foundations, whether they're families, even endowments, and they're tending to help smaller to medium-sized organizations too. So do your research on foundations. And we're kind of going to wrap up just now. So I'll kind of leave it out in the open. If there's anything else you want to say around, whether it's skill sets or mentalities of how can we better fundraise and or look for funding for our organizations, any kind of parting words of wisdom we think is really important that we understand.
I have a couple of points. I would say do your research. Understand your mission and vision. Be very clear what it is you want to do. Be very passionate about it. So when you talk, you get other people excited about it and they want to help. Another key thing I think we should do for success, partnerships. There are a ton of people out there doing stuff. Don't reinvent the wheel.
Wait,
Go
Carol,
and
can you say that again? Say it one more time for everybody.
Partnerships. Don't reinvent the wheel. Go reach out, network, key.
Yes, I heard one time there's too many organizations and not enough organization between us, especially in the Black community. I don't believe we need to compete. There's no competition. There's abundance for us all, but we do need to collaborate and work together because we have similar visions and missions for our community. Perez, is anything that you would like to add in?
To add to what Carol said, in total agreement, build awareness and relationships, create opportunities for networking, not just for money, but for relationships. And that will give us an opportunity to not only create recurring support, whether it be in kind, whether it be a gift for auction, whether it be small donations, weekly, monthly, or bi-weekly. But if you are able to convince passionate people about what you're doing, a recurring donation is the best way to start for small businesses, small organization. It is a business. Whether we make money or not, we should make it our business to leave people better than when we met them.
I love that. And with e-transfer, you know, people can just set that up automatically. They're e-transferring you every month. And what I want to say too is if someone really believes in their cause, they're not necessarily motivated by getting a charity receipt at the end of the year. Especially if it's a $25, $30 every month. I think we have some audience members that would like to have a comment, if I'm not mistaken. So I guess we could take them off mute and they would like to add to the conversation is what I'm hearing. And we are wrapping up as we get that. So we want to thank everyone. If you have a few more seconds to get a few more questions in, but go ahead. I believe we have a comment based on what we've been sharing. And we'd love to hear from you because we all have wisdom to share. Hello. All right. Well, while we work that out, just as soon as you're there, please be ready to share. You can cut me off. I give you permission. I won't take offense. And we want to thank everyone for coming out. We do have time for another question or two. So we're looking in the question box. But we want to thank you for coming through. Thank you, Carol and Perez, for kind of sharing your experience. And we love that we have people in our community. Please use the resources that are in our community. Call, have even what I say is just have a lunch date with someone if they can't give you their time all the time. Someone like a Carol, take them out to lunch and pick their brains. They've worked for helping corporations generate funding, and they're happy to see that money come into our community to help. I think we have Andrea there. Are you there? Would you like to share?
Yes, greetings, my beloved. Greetings to Carol, greetings to you, Tanika, and the Carez, my girlfriend, and the host. This is not by accident I'm sitting on this panel. This is a divine intervention. The Honorable Dr. Jean graciously invited me to be a part of this fireside. And I'm elated, I'm excited of hearing what I'm hearing right now, simply because 2 years ago in the midst of COVID, I actually launched the largest cyber Lions Club for Canada. And at the time, my club was the largest for North America. And in so doing, just a couple months ago in August, we've just registered a non-for-profit incorporation. So just hearing what I've just heard, it has put me up to the notch. And I'm so excited because, as I said, it's not by accident I'm here. And I'm taking this back to my executive. And I hope this has been recorded and put on the YouTube so that we can actually grasp from that. But it's really, really has intrigued me because this is all new to me. I'm a spiritual person, I'm an evangelist ordained, I'm a community chaplain, and this is actually a different plateau that God has allowed me to transition in. So I've really is coming away with a lot of knowledge about non-for-profit organization. I'm so happy I've been part of this, and kudos to you all. And I'm hoping that I can meet each and every one of you personally as this COVID transition out. Thank you again for accepting my comments. God bless.
Oh, thank you, Andrea. It's beautiful to have the comments and hear from our community. Carol, we have some more people out there that
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure with all the different buttons here in front of me. I just wanted to say that this is actually really good too. And just to clarify the question that I had about incoming stream, because I'm actually running a social enterprise where as I said, assist different organizations with their mission and fundraising efforts. And what I provide to them is a product that they can use as a fundraising. And I think that this is really great. It's just I can't, not that I can't, just moving forward and finding the partnerships and the connections as Carol and Perez and everyone has been saying, because I think it's very important, because it is all falls in line with my mission and what I'd like to create. Sorry. I know I just had a little bit of surgery and I can't speak that properly. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I don't know. Did we lose the moderator?
We did.
Tanika? Tanika is not there. Donna, are you there?
I am here. Sorry about that.
Okay, not sure what's happening.
She'll probably rejoin us, not to worry. You can continue the conversation. We do have a question on our system as well, or another question. We got another question from Shakoy, and she was asking, what was your best mistake on your journey?
And who was that addressed? Who was it?
Shakoy, she didn't address anyone in particular,
Okay.
but she
What
brought
was
some panelists to give their perspective.
What is my best mistake on my journey?
That's correct.
Best mistake. Wow. Not worst mistake, best. For me, because I have mentees that I share this with, I always felt that the leaders knew more than me, that my ideas were not as good as theirs. They know best. And I'm beginning to think now, all the scandals, and as I read all of them, I realized they weren't better than me. My idea is just as good as theirs, maybe even better. So the mistake I made all these years, particularly in a corporate environment, was assuming that. So now I tell my mentees, you go bold. You have good ideas too. So that would be my response.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, I am so sorry. The power went out of my house. So
is that what happened?
Down, and I was like, what's going on? This has never happened, but I am back and I'm hearing some great lessons. Do we have anyone else that would like to share?
Someone had a question before and I wasn't clear on the question. So, and I wasn't sure if you were doing some, I wasn't sure. So maybe.
Chris, did you want to answer the question as well? What was your best mistake on your journey?
I would say my best mistake is just not listening to everyone. My best mistake is, we were taught as youth children to you do as you're told, see and not heard. I've made umpteen mistakes of doing as I choose. So my best mistakes is just being outright, independent, and it has brought me a lot of rewards. One, it taught me to be resourceful, and two, it helped me to remember I don't want to go back there. So a mistake is a good mistake when you're not repeatedly doing that. So my best mistake is just doing what I want at the moment and learning the consequences, learning from not taking orders. So that's my best mistake.
I love that. I love that. I guess I can answer it, and then I think we have gone through so much today. And I know we wanted to keep these fireside chats, really condensed, and it will be, thank you. Someone made a comment, this is being recorded. This will be on YouTube under the 100 Accomplished Black Women YouTube channel. So please share the link and share the knowledge that was shared with us today to those that couldn't attend, or maybe, they missed a few points. You can go back and definitely check out that information. I would say that my best mistake was going slow. I judged myself. Oh, I'm not building a team fast enough. I'm not generating enough impact in the community. And now, 20 years in, I realized that slow and steady was really how I needed to work in community, and that I'm here for the long term. I got another 40 years ahead of me, 50. So there's no rush.
Yeah.
Hey.
Malcolm had a question.
Oh, Malcolm had a question.
His question is, what is the best online information you can get to take an idea and properly transition into an official non-for-profit company? The question is on the chat.
What is the
best online information you can get to take an idea and properly transition it into an official not-for-profit company?
Besides our fireside chats?
Malcolm?
Yeah, sorry, I can chime in and expound on that. Let's say you have an idea, let's say it's something that's not registered, and you want to find the best way you can register your company, and then start moving into being a non-for-profit so that you can take advantage of these grants and stuff like that. What resources do you think that you can look forward to or look at? So just to guide you along that process.
Okay, now I get it. Okay, so I'll jump in. So there's something called the objects of a charitable organization, not for profit. So CRA has a ton of information, and they're very, very helpful in terms of discussions around that. So one of the key things you would have to do is to articulate it's called the objects of the organization. You have to articulate that to the CRA and the government. They have to approve it. Once you get that approval, you're on your way. So I would say access CRA and read the guidance and instructions as to how to do that.
Amazing, thank you.
And we have
Andrea also has a comment.
Okay.
Yes, just to concur in what Carol has just said is exactly so, because we are actually in the verge. I have to meet with a chartered accountant this week, and those are the objectives and activities, and they want to know exactly what your organization is all about. So you have to put all your mission statement and everything. So right now we are in the process of doing that. So that is right on point. Thank you, Carol, for sharing that as well.
You're welcome.
Do we have any other questions, comments that we can answer before we wrap up this amazing fireside chat today? All right. Well, it seems as if everyone's answered all they can for today. So we just want to thank everyone for coming out. We want to thank all our sponsors again for being able to provide us the opportunity to speak and have everyone come out. We want to thank Carol and Carez for your time and sharing your wisdom with us, because that has no dollar value, is the wisdom that we all have to share with each other. I don't know if there's anything else that we want to put that we need to thank. We can put it in the chat, and I'll make sure that we share that. And again, we want to let you know that these fireside chats will be happening every Sunday from now till, I believe, May, with different topics that are important within the African Canadian people of African descent community here in Canada. So please make sure you check out the YouTube channel and make sure you get on our email list so you can get the direct links to register for all the wonderful conversations that are going to happen in 2023. Thank you all so much for coming out and sharing your Sunday with us. And from 100 accomplished Black women and myself, Tanika Riley, thank you for sharing time with us and building our community together. It does take a village. Have a great Sunday, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Look how far you have come on your own, but never alone. Through the rain and through the shine,